Howdy, y'all. How's everybody doing today? What are we looking at right here? We are looking at the Calculator Locator. This is the Calculator mods power generation. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I know I said I was going to do some heart canisters and Draconic armor, but I also keep showing this stuff in videos, and none of it's being explained, so I figured, what the heck, let's go ahead and go over it real quick. So welcome to the Calculator mod. What this is I'm gonna guess it's pretty early in development still. It's got a lot of neat features, but there's not a lot of documentation, and it's kind of clunky. You know, I mean, early on, but I think this mod, if the author sticks with it, you know, it is going to stick around, and there's going to definitely be some updates, maybe even a little balancing. Let me go down here and sleep real quick. Now, what this does, the Calculator mod, it is, how do I explain this? It's almost kind of a equivalent exchange maybe type mod with some other, not completely, but it's got elements of that. And then of course there's a lot more. It's got its own crafting. If we look at their tab, Calculator, you'll see it's got a few blocks of its own. It's got some tools, some circuitry, which we'll get into. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the actual calculators. You've got tons. You've got the calculator, which adds things together. So some of the recipes, this is like their most basic crafting table. You know, this plus this creates something else. And then of course you have a crafting calculator, which is just a crafting portable crafting table. And then here we're talking the scientific calculator, and I believe the dynamic calculator here is what this is, and we've talked about this before. This has the first, or it has the calculator. It does not have the crafting calculator. It has the scientific calculator, and then it's got an atomic calculator, which I don't think there is a handheld version of that. The atomic calculator is like this dynamic calculator. It's a block. So some of them are blocks, some of them are, handheld. This is very hard to automate, just for the simple fact is you can't right-click stuff in here. I have not tried to interface it with ME yet. So it is a little painful to do some of the higher-end stuff, just because of the amount of combines that it requires. For instance, the atomic assembly, this is required for a lot. You can kind of do these, because if you look at what's required here, these atomic modules, okay, these require scientific calculators. These don't stack, and you can't do the question mark click into your crafting table to make them either. So they're a bit of a pain in the ass, but you can make these in ME. You just have to put all the items into your system. And then you have your advanced assembly, which is, the calculator assembly, which is a bunch of buttons. You're going to make a shit ton of buttons. Just make several stacks of buttons when you start making all this stuff. You're going to make more buttons than you've ever made, ever, in your life, ever. So it's kind of a pain. But you want to make this dynamic calculator as quickly as possible, or you want to make your atomic calculator as quickly as possible, and you need the atomic to make the dynamic. This just makes life just a lot easier, having it all in one place like this, instead of having to pull out each one of these things. It just makes it so much easier. So go ahead and get yourself the dynamic calculator. Eat the cost, just get it done. Because you're going to need all this to make the one called the flawless calculator. And now, I've talked about this because this is basically how I'm getting gold. Not only is it a a calculator that does a function, but it makes it. This is where the kind of the equivalent exchange comes in. 4 iron makes an ender pearl. That is straight out of equivalent exchange. Then other things like the diamond sapling. Oh, I can make them again. Great, there's a new recipe for that. I made one and everything disappeared. Then of course a lot of the stuff that you will need later on down the road, you'll have to have the flawless calculator. The one that I've been using quite a bit, flawless glass. That's dumb. Oh, I didn't know I made gas tiers. That's nice to know. The one I've been using is gold to diamonds with our zombie pigman farmers down there. You see, I have 13,000 of those things. So, you know, normally I would have already taken a few stacks out, but when it gets high, I just pull a bunch of enough to make 3 or 4 stacks of diamonds out of there. So the flawless calculator is very nice. If we look at the research chamber. Now, I'm not going to place this down because I had a world crash with this thing, and I had to actually go back to a... well, I had a crash. I've been talking about the storms down here in Texas. I had a crash, and when I came back in, I noticed all the research I had done when I looked in the calculator, because any research you do, you put a block in here and it comes back and it gives you new recipes based on the block that you put in. Like you put gold, you get a new recipes based on gold, lapis, etc. And those will show up only in the calculator, just the basic calculator. But you'll see some things there that again are more equivalent exchange, you know, recipes to bring up stuff. Now I had a crash due to a power outage, and then when I came back in, I noticed all the recipes were gone, so I was going to just start over again, and because you don't lose the items, you put them in there, you research, you get it back. So I threw it in there, world crash, could not get back in, kept saying calculator, so I had to go revert back to a older save. So I'm a little nervous to put that back in there right now. But that's how that works. Eventually I'll try it when I have a nice new backup, and just not yet. Some of the things I haven't used, like the reinforced furnace, have not used the redstone extractor or any of the starch extractor. These are power gen, or you know, these are like your low tier power gen. And then you get into the conductor mast, and that goes along with the weather station and the transmitter. I'm pretty sure you saw those up here. This has a couple of functions. There's an item called an energized diamond, and it's about 3 steps to get to the energized diamond. But the final steps is you come in here, you put your diamond in here, and it'll come out as your energized diamond over here. Now you see all this other stuff. Wait time 0 seconds. This will tell you how long until you get a lightning strike. When this thing is empty, you will get a lightning strike every once in a while. And by default, I think it's only like 5,000 of this LE, which I'm again going to think is lightning energy, will come down and it'll fill this up. You can pull power out. This is attached to the mast here by just a cable down below. It's not terribly fast, and it only fills up when it gets struck, which is odd, but like it just won't drain until it's hit, and then it'll start draining out. But you can also change it to day and night. This is how, if it's raining and it's daytime for me, I'll just come over here, click night, go down there and sleep, clear up the rain. So this is pretty handy. Now what each of the weather stations do is they increase the power the conductor mast gets from each lightning strike. So I'm not sure how much, I can't tell exactly, but it's a lot more than just 5,000. I'm going to say each one of these maybe, you know, doubles it. You know, this is maybe another 5,000, another 5,000, because it's Oh, it's at least 25,000 when it hits minimum right now. And you can make this bigger. This is not just the size you have to leave it at right here. Now these little atoms right here, the transmitters, they increase the likelihood of a lightning strike. Like it's not a set time. Can I use some energy? Let me see. We'll turn it night. Turn it day. We'll turn it night. We'll turn it day. We'll use up a little power. So it says 5 billion days right now for a lightning strike. I wonder how bad I'm messing up my world. Hey, make up your mind, man. What time is it? Right now it says 5 billion days, but that will adjust and as it figures out, like right now, 30 seconds until a lightning strike. So in about 30 seconds, if you're up here, you know, you'll see the sky kind of flash and it gets hit and it'll pull out power. And since it's got nowhere to go, it just stays in the conductor mast. And it looks like it does not attempt to get lightning once this thing is filled up. So this thing is already filled also. So it's not cheap to make these things. It's a lot of diamonds actually to make this. It's a lot of materials to make this. And again, most of the calculator stuff you have to craft by hand because you can't shift click stuff into the calculators, and you cannot. A lot of stuff has to be done. The recipes are calculator specific. You know, they have to be done on one of the calculators, or your dynamic calculator, or even your flawless calculator, to do some of the things. So they're not done in a crafting, your crafting grid. So not really your best power option right here. It's cool, but it's not your best power option. I mean, you can always tie it into your system, get power out of it. You know, I mean, it's, again, once it's created, it's free power. You're not putting fuel into this to get power out of it. Most of the higher end stuff, you don't have to. Now, again, like I said, they have different options. They have redstone extractors. If you've got nothing but redstone to put out there, this is your low tier. This comes from like trees and stuff. You put trees in there and coal, and it'll put that out. Then you got redstone extractor, which again I haven't used, nor have I used the glowstone extractor. I don't have enough glowstone to use it as a power source for sure. For sure. Hell no. I'm running witches whenever my essence gets high enough just to get glowstone. I'm not gonna throw it away and put it as a fuel source. Now, something I want to try later is a atomic multiplier. All this really says is that it will triple any item that you put in there for, what is that, 9... Shit, that's a lot of power. We'll have to try that. What's the recipe on that thing? I hate making these things. Yeah, we'll mess with that down the road. The next thing I want to do is upgrade to kind of a tier 3, I guess, calculator locator. This is the calculator locator. Now I'm going to move this thing because I don't like it being up above the ground like this. I don't know if it has to be outside either, because this little thing, like, it's all filled up right now and it's not running. If I had another calculator locator, it would turn on again, but this one will turn green, shoot a beam up there, and until the most recent update, this little 3x3 area was as big as this thing can get. Now it can get quite large. So I added this second row here, and I was really happy to see that it actually worked. The power worked out exactly like I thought. So, you know, there's 8 here right now, and they produced 1,000. So you pretty much tripled that. You know, you added another 16 around it. So I was thinking, okay, it's going to be over 3,000, and it was. So that's fair. I thought, okay, if I'm going to do another 16 for only you know, another 1,000 bonus, I'm going to be pissed. But it did. It worked out to about 3,300 RF a tick when this thing activates, which the only time this thing really activates is if I do an RF Tools World dimension. Then it'll activate, because you know, when you first create those things, boy, it drains out all your power. But these, again, are another one that are kind of a pain in the ass to make. But once it's made, again, it's free power. Your real cost is time that it takes to make these things. If we look at the recipes for this, you need the calculator locator, which is the item in the middle, and then all around it, each one of these little green things is a calculator plug. So these aren't too bad. It does take an energy module that does not stack, and then again, this recipe has to be made in a scientific calculator. That one doesn't. This one requires a scientific calculator. So again, you can't put these in your ME system and have them work. I would like to see an ME dynamic calculator. That would be awesome. You know, or ME flawless calculator, or even a dynamic calculator that's got the flawless in it also, and it's an ME block, you know, so you can put recipes into it. That would be neat, you know, an ME interface connected to it. That would be so cool. Now the calculator locator, of course, is a lot harder. You got to have the calculator plug, then you got to make 2 of these with a beacon. Material wise, none of this stuff is really expensive. You know, diamonds for each one, yada yada. But at this point, you know, we've got plenty of diamonds with the zombie pigmen. It's just time to make those, and then the real time comes into making the circuits. Now, inside each one of these is a circuit. You'll see the circuit says stable. That's what you have to have in each one of these. No big deal, right? Stable, true. You don't get a stable circuit every time you make these things. Now, you're going to need an extraction chamber. You can look at the recipe in NEI. You're going to need a processing chamber, or there's actually the process. You can look at, well, here we go. Let's just go look at it. Where's the processing chamber? Processing chamber. You're actually going to need a reassembly chamber and a restoration chamber. Now, you're going to need to make these anyways. Just go ahead and make the restoration or the processing chamber, because it takes what you'd have to do in both of these and just puts it all into one. The flawless diamonds aren't, you know, hard to make. You got to make these little atomic binders, which again aren't hard to make, but just a lot of steps. Just a lot of steps. No big deal though. Once you get these blocks made, you don't have to ever make them again. So you're going to take an extraction chamber. You're going to put dirt or stone in here, and it's going to run, and it's going to pop out a dirty circuit. You're going to take your dirty circuit out, and you're going to go over to your processing chamber, and you're going to put it in there. And what it's going to do when it's finished is it's going to spit out this circuit. It's doing its thing. Then you're going to go over here to the analyzing chamber. Now, earlier on I said I could get this thing to take RF, and I think I posted another video that I'm an idiot, and I am an idiot because this thing doesn't actually take RF. I saw down here, you know, it said RF, 0 RF, and I'm like, why isn't this thing filling up? It must take RF. It's got an RF thing down here. This is RF that it actually takes from the circuit. This actually removes RF. It's also supposed to take items out of it, out of the circuit. There's supposed to be like items in there. I've never seen an item, not a single item, come out of any chip that I put in here. Now I haven't done anything other than dirty stone and then soul sand, I think. Is it soul sand? The one you need for the speed upgrades, that chip. That's done in a different chamber. It's a precision chamber. Blah, 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 blah. We'll talk about that later. But you take your circuit, and this one already says stable. Did I put that in there already? Yeah, you see it'll say stable. That's weird. It shouldn't say stable until you put it in there. Did I? I must have put it in there, though. So that's what you need. But you don't get that every time. that was actually really lucky that we got that one. Now, on the sides, can I pop this open without breaking behind it? On the sides, you'll see this little dot. Now, this is supposed to be input, output. Green, I believe, is supposed to be input, and red is output. You have to use the little wrench from Calculator to do this. You just click it, and it turns to red, which is output. I think you still have to use pipes because I have these all set. So it should come from this one to that one to this one, but it doesn't seem like it does it automatically. So I think that just says, yes, you can pull out from that side. But you would need pipes to do that. I would have to find a different place to put it other than here. And so what I'll do is when I'm watching the video and not doing anything else, I'll just come over here and do this. I'll just pull one out, come over here, pop it in, pull this one out, and then go over here and throw it in there. And see, like this one is not stable, and there's absolutely no other use that I need it for, so I chuck these. I just get rid of it, and then you know, it's literally there's 5 speed upgrades in each of these, so this one's stable. There's 5 speed upgrades in this one. There's 5 speed upgrades in this one, so this one, these two go really, really fast, and this one, of course, is instant. So it's just it's just a matter of pulling it out. It doesn't take too long. Oh, another stable one. See, I literally can go through periods where I can go through half a damn stack and not get that many stables. So I'm not angry or anything. I don't mind because eventually another stable. Okay, so these are all good. Now we're gonna need, oh, good Lord, a lot more stables to do it again. So these are all my stable ones. I'm just putting them over here, and when I have enough, I'll make another row just to see how far it will go up. These things can get there's a picture of one on the wiki, and it is enormous. I don't think anybody did that by hand. I'm gonna guess they did that in creative because it's huge. I mean, it's freaking huge. But that's how you get your stable circuits that you need for the calculator locator. The pattern that you see, how it's set up right there, is what you need to do. It has to be exactly like that to work. It has to be, you know, the sides, with the exception of the floor down there. Down below here, with the exception of the center has to be open. It has to be open. And then down below there, we have a test rack that, of course, takes all this power and it puts it into our system when it activates. So, you know, not a bad pattern. Even just when you do the your first 8, just remember the outside has to be the same pattern as this. It's just you cover all the sides and you leave these corners open. You know, no matter how big it gets, that's what you're going to do with it. Weird lighting. Oh, I put in Optifine. Now get this. I put in Optifine, and everything was running great. But so I leave and I go over to our farm area. I'll show it in another video. You know, I was doing a few farms, but I came back over here, and man, I went to 0 frames, and my entity count, you know, I hit F3, and I finally got it to come up, and my entity count was like 4,000. It was like 3982, something like that. And I could not move for the longest time, and all of a sudden it just cleared up, and I was like, what the hell? Couldn't figure out what it was, couldn't figure out where the entities were, because no matter which direction I turned, it was everywhere. So I was like, oh, geez, that's bizarre. Turns out that for some reason, when Optifine was on, it wasn't like rendering the machines or the golden spikes that are down there. So the mobs were spawning, but they weren't dying. So here and up in the spawning tower platform, whatever you want to call that thing, all the mobs were spawning, but nothing was dying. So, I mean, every time I would leave the base and come back, you know, there'd be a few hundred mobs in there, and they weren't dying until I came back in. So I'd get a like a little bit of a lag hit when I would first come in, and then a few seconds later it would clear up because it would kill everything. Really bizarre. So I had to get rid of Optifine because I tried all different settings and I couldn't get it to stop doing that, no matter what. It's totally weird. All right, one last thing, and then we're going to call it on Calculator. I just wanted to kind of show the big stuff. Now, you'll see I've been carrying this around, the Hunger module, for a while. The Hunger module is pretty neat. This is kind of, you don't have to worry about carrying around steak or pork or whatever. Any food items you have, anything that you would normally eat, even zombie rotten flesh, anything. You just come in here, you throw it in this side, and it adds to these hunger points, your hunger points bank. And then what you can come in here is you can just charge up your hunger module, put it in there, it takes points away, and it fills it up to its 1,000 hunger points. So it's anytime you're hungry, you just put it down in your bar. If you just click with it, it tells you how many points are in it, which is a little bit redundant because when you just look at it, it says 100. But I guess if you don't have any eye or what is it? What am I looking at, Wayla? Then that would be helpful. But and then if you shift, like if I had hunger bars, if I shift right clicked, it would actually, it doesn't matter how many I have, it will fill it up. So that's a nice little neat little item. This is a health processor. I haven't made the little handheld for it yet. This will actually heal you. Same type of thing. You put, I'm not even sure what you put in here. Haven't got that far with this one yet. But this one will heal you, and you can do the same thing. You would carry around a little health module, and it will heal you up. Pretty cool. Now, there's some other items that we're not going to cover, but, like all the weapons and stuff. The higher end, not bad. The Enforged Sword, this is the high-end weapon, plus 20 attack damage. Of course, it's probably not going to be cheap, in diamonds. Where is it? This is your electric diamond. This is what I was talking about. You need that conductor mast for. That's actually not too bad. It's going to be about 3 diamonds because the fire diamond is 2 diamonds and a blaze rod. So you're going to, it's a little work to get to that, but, 20 damage. Not really sure what the obsidian key is for just yet. Advanced terrain module, the terrain module and the advanced terrain module. I haven't messed with them, but they're kind of like a they replace one block with another block, but it can, the problem with it is it's only like dirt, stone brick, that kind of thing. It doesn't just like, you can't say I want to replace it all with gold blocks and it'll do that. So it's not the equivalent exchange, what you call it, wand. We got energy module. This holds power. The locator module, you also have to make one of these to put into the calculator locator for it to run, because it's going to be bound to you, basically. Okay, what else? Info calculator requires any eye. Shows all calculator information. Only works with any eye. Okay, well, maybe I'll make one of those. I never even saw that before. Then you get your hand crank, you get your generators, power generators. There's also some greenhouse stuff that they have for like more rapid growth. I think there's a bug with it right now. It only works with the mod's plants, but I'm thinking he's going to fix that real soon. Not a bad mod. I've always said I don't want to automate everything. There's something to be said for, having a base that you need to go around and turn some things on, turn some things off, tweak this, tweak that, harvest this. If you set up everything completely automated, okay, now what the hell do you do? That's why so many modded series end, is because eventually they're just like, okay, I got nothing left to do. Everything does everything for itself. There's no more interaction between the player and his world. It's done. It's completely over. So we don't want to get too far like that. I mean, at least for me. Eventually, but when you're getting down to that point where you've played a series for long enough and you're ready to move on to a new map, I'm sure most of you can relate. You know, you get that itch, like, okay, I wanna start over. I could have done this, or I could have done that. But we don't want to kill it too much. This mod is not bad. It's got some neat stuff. It's got some helpful things. It's really thanks to Calculator that I have any diamonds. Well, that's not. I mean, that's not completely true. I mean, I've still got 395 ore in here. I was getting so much diamond from the dimensional shard. I was getting so many diamonds from the zombie pigmen that you know, I stopped breaking that stuff up. You know, I think, well, you know, I'll leave it in there just in case. But that's the Calculator mod. If you guys have a question about any of the stuff in here that I didn't cover, just because I haven't used it, let me know. I mean, if it's something I can help you out with, I most certainly will. But I did, you know, I'm sorry we didn't go over the, or not go over, that I didn't do the hard canisters and the Draconic armor, but be guaranteed the very next one, I'll probably throw that together, actually, right after I complete this one. So it will be up real soon, and I appreciate you guys coming by. Don't forget that you know, I do have some other series out there that have been done over the years. You know, I just finished up the what I call My World. I really should have called it Magic Pack or something like that. That's out there. There's only like 8 videos or so, not too many. That was just the time that I had available to video with that series. There's more on here just because I have more time available currently. Then, of course, I've got some older stuff, too. I mean, I got old Dire Wolf. I got some ultimate, some light. I really got into the light stuff for a while. I have an FTB Light 2 and an FTB Light 3 pack that I did. Of course, they're not really light packs. That's when I was kind of getting into adding the mods that I wanted to play in there. So a lot of times those mods, Mushroom, hello Mushroom. So don't forget to go in there and check those out. I hope those are just as entertaining. I know they are older, but some of that stuff is still applicable, if I can say that, applicable. It still applies today. A lot of that stuff still works. A lot of the turtle stuff in the Direwolf series still works. Why I don't use them, I don't know. I used to use the sword turtles, attack turtles, all the time for mob farms, and then I would kind of suck up their stuff. They don't use any power to do that sort of thing, so it's pretty cool. Used to use them to enchant all kinds of neat stuff. But that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate you coming by. Hopefully you like what you saw right there. Hope that helps you out if you have the Calculator mod in your pack, or if you're going to add it in there. I would say give it a run. It's pretty cool. I'm really excited to see what the next level of power gen is going to be when we up that up. I know I want to move that to a new area. I'm actually thinking of building some sort of power plant where we can consolidate all of our power into one location. The only downside would be is I think we're going to lose all our Draconic power. But that's no big deal. We can always make more. It's only 9.88 billion RF. Who cares? I'll just make one RF world and it'll suck that thing dry. But you know, a lot of stuff coming up. Still got a lot of stuff to come up in this series. So don't forget to stick around. Throw a like on there. Don't forget to share wherever you share. Reddit, Facebook, Twitter. Let everybody know. And hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. And until next time, I will see y'all later.